Hello and welcome back to my channel. Jacob Payton here, and I'm going to be doing another mini book haul. I honestly didn't mean to do another one this month, but I went to this antique store I really like and ended up getting a bunch of books for like $2. So here we are with another mini book haul. First up is Carry On Comfort by Dan Simmons. You see this kind of cool skeleton on like some puppet strings. Definitely giving me like a paperbacks from hell vibe. And it says dark, macabre, epic horror in the tradition of King's The Stand. It definitely is long enough to be compared to King's The Stand. And it says all humans feed on violence, but only those with the ability have tasted the ultimate power. Ordinary vampires possess the body, but only those who use the living can violate the soul. They gather their strength through the years. They plot their unholy games. They war among themselves. And the victor will stand alone against a world without defenses. Bum, bum, bum. Then we have a Robert McCammon book, and this is Bethany's Sins. And it says, in the village of Bethany's Sin, no man walks the streets after nightfall. And we have a woman riding a demonic horse. Very cool cover. Definitely giving me like a gothic horror vibe. Yeah, I've been reading a lot of Robert McCammon lately, and so far I have enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm sure this is going to be the same. And then on the back, if you guys can kind of see that, have like more women riding these like nightmare like horses. And it's Bethany's Sin for Evan Reed, his wife Kay, and their small daughter Lori. The beautiful house in the small village was too good a bargain to pass up. Bethany's Sin was a weird name, but the village is quaint and far from the noise and pollution of the city. But Bethany's Sin was too quiet. There were no sounds at all, and almost as if the night had been frightened into silence. Evan began to notice that there were very few men in the village, and that most of them were crippled. And then there was the sound of galloping horses. Women on horses, riding in the night. Soon he would learn their superhuman secret, and soon he would watch in terror as first his wife, then his daughter enter their sinister cabal. An ancient evil rejoiced in Bethany's Sin, a horror that happened only at night. ... and only to men. Bum bum bum. Next up, we have John Saul's Creature. Got a evil looking thing and a football helmet. I've also been reading a lot of John Saul this year, and I really like him as well. I've read a lot of his like more like ghost books though, and this definitely does not seem like it's going to be a ghost book, so this will be a different type of John Saul for me. This is a powerful high-tech company, a postcard pretty company town, families, children, sunshine, happiness, a high school football team that never ever loses, something horrible, ... Now, there is a new family in town, a shy, nature-loving teenager, a new hometown, a new set of bullies. Maybe the team sports clinic can help him, rebuild him. Then they won't hurt him again. They won't dare. Creature. So, first impressions, it seems like it's going to be kind of like a genetic engineering type horror story, but we will see. Then I have Guillermo del Toro's The Strain. This is the first book of the Strain series. I recently started rewatching the show. I did watch the show. I finished I think it's like 4 seasons, and I have never read the book, so it's going to be interesting for me to see what they kept and what they cut from the book when they adapted it to the show, or not cut from the book, but cut from the show from the book, if that makes sense. I guess I will read the back of this. And it said, at New York's JFK Airport, an arriving Boeing 777 taxiing along a runway suddenly stops dead. All the shades have been drawn. All communication channels have mysteriously gone quiet. Dr. F. Goodweather, head of the CDC Rapid Response Team investigating biological threats, boards the darkened plane, and what he finds makes his blood run cold. A terrifying contagion has come to the unsuspecting city. An unstoppable plague that will spread like all-consuming wildfire. Lethal, merciless, hungry, vampiric. And in a pawn shop in Spanish Harlem, an aged Holocaust survivor knows that the war he has been dreading his entire life is finally here. And 1 week Manhattan will be gone. In 1 month, the country. In 2 months, the world. Sorry about that yawn, guys. Yeah, I had seen this book when it first came out, kind of on shelves and stuff, and it just never caught my attention because I did not realize what it was about. I didn't realize it was vampires. If I had known it was vampires, I probably would have read this book a whole lot sooner. I always thought it was more like a pandemic horror, kind of like Anthrax or something like that, so I just kind of never picked it up. And then I saw the show and I was like, oh, this is definitely something I'm going to want to read. Another vampire book. This is The Vampire Files by P. and Enrod, and this is Lady Crimson. P. and Elrod. Vampire Files follows I think he's a private detective. I have one of the books I have not finished reading called Art in the Blood. I do not know how many of these books there are. I should probably find that out. And I also obviously haven't read this series in any sort of order. I've just kind of read them as I pick them up. And I usually get the paperbacks, so I'll be honest, if it was up to me, I wouldn't have gotten a hardback of this. But the hardback was super cheap, and yeah, I like the paperback covers. The paperback covers seem really cool. They kind of have like a Dracula-esque vampire on like usually some sort of painted background. So this, in comparison, isn't as much fun. And it says, investigating the dark crimes of the Windy City may not be easy, but it has been lucrative for vampire Jack Fleming. He's made a good bit of money, enough to realize his longtime dream of owning a nightclub, an honest place where a man can get a legal drink, and where Jack's songbird girlfriend can headline the floor show. But renovations on the speakeasy come to a crashing halt when workmen discover the skeletal remains of a woman's body, clad in a distinctive red dress, walled up in the basement. Her name was Lena Ashley, a good-time girl who hung out with a big-time mobster. She disappeared about 6 years earlier, and to his horror, Jack figures out that she was still alive when her basement tomb was sealed. Jack may have become a creature of the night, but he's still a man with a strong sense of justice, and he won't rest until he finds out who killed the lady in red, even if it means resurrecting secrets the mob would like to keep buried. So yeah, it's kind of like a murder mystery involving vampires and the mob, so that seems like that's going to be a lot of fun. Next up is a book that I've been looking for a while and just didn't want to pay the online prices for. And this is Logan's Run, the trilogy. So if you've seen the Logan's Run movie, it's actually based on a trilogy of books. I do believe the first movie is just the first one, and I don't think the other ones were ever made. And that perhaps is why Logan's Run, the movie, ends on like a cliffhanger type ending. So yeah, I've been trying to track down the other books. The standalones are expensive, and the compiled trilogy is expensive. I don't know if it's gone down. I haven't checked in a while, but when I was originally looking for this, it was more than I wanted to pay for this. At one point, I've seen this collection for like $100 some. I'm just like, that's a lot. But anyway, it says, by 2072, all the world was young. Welcome to Logan's Run. An era of government by computer, and a time not far from now when the horrific final solution to overpopulation is mandatory death at age 21. Good citizens go willingly to sleep. A rebellious few resist. They are the runners, men and women in a desperate race for life against those who hunt them. The elite killer corps of enforcers called Sandmen. Logan is a Sandman. Cunning, efficient, a crack shot with the lethal gun, but Logan just turned 21. Another yawn. I am so sorry, guys. He's met a woman named Jessica, and Logan has decided to run. And yeah, so this is the full trilogy. I do not know. Oh, it says it right here. It's Logan's Run, Logan's World, and Logan's Search by William F. Nolan. I am very excited to read this. I need to do my Halloween read along and stuff like that first before I read it, so it'll probably be something I read after October unless I somehow just really get through my October reading. But we'll see. October's usually a pretty busy month for me, so that reading might be a struggle as it is. And then next up is another paperback from hell, and this is Alan Dean Foster's Into the Out Of. Well, it looks like a Paperbacks from Hell novel. It looks like a horror novel. I am excited about that because I did not know Alan Dean Foster, who I know from writing a lot of science fiction and a lot of, like tie-in novels to other like big franchises. Like he's done Star Wars and stuff like that. So that's where, when I hear Alan Dean Foster, that's what I think of. So I didn't know he'd done like a horror type story. So it's going to be kind of exciting to, just kind of see what he does with that, because I do like the books of his that I have read. I can't really read too much of the back of this because there is like this pesky sticker cutting around it. I don't want to tear the cover. But I can read the second part, and it is, only one man sees the growing danger. Olk Kiloki, an elder of the Maasai people, an African Laban with the knowledge to fight the Shetani, both in this world and its bizarre counterpart. But he must have help from two others if he is to stem the deadly tide. U.S. government agent Joshua Oak, a man all too used to combat, and Mary Sharrow, a courageous young woman braving demons of her own. Together they must invade the very heart of the nightmare. And as spellcast mayhem causes one earthly crisis after another, defeat the Shetani in their own terror-strewn world. So yeah, this seems like it's going to be kind of an interesting read. I'm kind of excited to read it once again because I am a fan of Alan Dean Foster, and I did not know he had written some horror books. I will try to see if I can track down, if he's written more of those. And next up, I talked about this in the last episode, that I had kind of tried to stay away from both Tarzan and John Carter books because I do love Edgar Rice Burroughs. I know there's a lot of them, and I was afraid of starting to collect them. But here we are with yet two more Edgar Rice Burroughs books. These are, of course, Martian Tales. I have a collected hardback edition of, I think it's like the first 5 books. But yeah, this is Mastermind of Mars with these beautiful covers. I mean, really cool. Obviously, Edgar Rice Burroughs, The Martian Tales up top. And then, you kind of have like someone about to get a shot or something in like this weird looking lab where no one's wearing a shirt for some reason. If you are unfamiliar with The Martian Tales or John Carter of Mars, it is very much Sword and Planet. So I think Conan in space is kind of the vibe of the overall series. And it says, a trade in bodies. A former Earthman, Ulysses Paxton, served Barsoom's greatest scientist until his master's ghoulish trade in living bodies drove him to rebellion. Then to save the body of the woman he loved, he had to attack mighty Fundal and its evil, beautiful ruler. And of course, I forget the other type of Martians these are supposed to be, but they has like the four-armed ones on the back. Because in John Carter of Mars, there are two types of Martians. And I do not remember what they are called right now, so I do apologize for that. And then next up, I really love this cover. This is a fighting man of Mars, and we have two guys with a sword fighting like this giant, like crocodile-looking dragonish creature. And then on the back, we can see they're obviously in some like crazy science fiction, fantasy-esque caves with these weird like stalactites and rock formations. And one thing I do like about these editions too is it numbers up here, kind of like what order to read these in. Now, you might think I'm kind of dumb for pointing that out, and that's fair if you're used to reading mostly modern books, which clearly number what order you're supposed to read them. That wasn't really always the case. Like, I've seen copies of Edgar Rice Burroughs books from, way back when, and they just don't have that, because a lot of them were novellas and stuff that were published in magazines at the time, and then just kind of like republished. That's the same with like Conan and stuff like that. There's like, you kind of have to do a little research sometimes to figure out what order you're supposed to read them in. So I do really enjoy these Del Rey editions that do have, just like the Tarzan one, they are clearly numbered which order you're supposed to read them in, because as we know, that is very helpful, and I enjoy that immensely. So this is A World in Peril, Warrior Tan Hadron's hunt for the abductors of the woman he loved led him to conquest-crazed warlord in command of an invincible weapon that threatened all of Barsoom. There was only one defense against it, and the man who held the secret was insane. So yeah, something kind of interesting here. I've noticed in both different books, we have 2 different main character names. So I am wondering if maybe after the John Carter stories, the Martian Tales kind of just depict stories of other Earthlings. If so, I did not know that, and that is kind of interesting if that is the case in point. But I will find out more when I read these, because once again, I haven't read anything past the John Carter books. So a lot of this, I mean, this is all completely new for me. It's not like Tarzan where I have read a number of them over the years. I am quite excited to read these, and hopefully, knock on wood, this is my last book haul for September. I do not know what October will bring. I mean, this is obviously a pretty small book haul, but I also have downsized shelves, so for me to do more book hauls, especially with physical books, I would have to clear more shelf space, and that is something I don't want to do right now. Of course, that won't stop me from buying more books, but I like to pretend that it will. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at some of these books. Like I said, I am excited for a lot of them because I've been looking for them for a while, and then also it's always cool to come across not new copies, but new stories and stuff that you weren't necessarily looking for on the hunt for books that you were. So it's gonna be fun to read those and see if I can get into some authors that I like that are trying or tried new things at one point, or even just learn about new authors that I haven't read in this pile. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this mini book haul. If you've read any of these books, didn't like them, liked them, let me know in the comments below. If you know any books that are kind of like some of these books you think I should check out, also let me know. And as always, please like and subscribe, and I will see y'all